The top stories from the week that was. Welcome to Sunday Square Off. In 2 days, the eyes of the nation will be on Phoenix. President Donald Trump headlines a campaign rally here. His 8th visit to Arizona in 2 years, but his first as president. It comes after a week when Trump's dangerous rhetoric put the nation on edge and left the president more isolated than ever. Trump's visit doesn't hold much hope for relief. The president might pardon former Sheriff Joe Arpaio, one of the most divisive political figures in Arizona history. And there are fears Phoenix could become a battleground. And yet, the polls show the president's Republican base is solidly behind him. Joining us this morning for our left-right debate, Christine Jones, former GoDaddy executive and former Republican candidate for governor and Congress, and political analyst Chris Herstam, veteran of many, many years of Arizona politics.
Morning.
Chris, what is it about Arizona that keeps bringing Donald Trump back?
Unfortunately, it's because his party that nominated him and frankly got him elected president of the United States, the base here in Arizona is very much in line with him. They're not going to deviate. The party, when you look at the CBS poll that came out late last week, 67% of the Republicans agreed with his comments regarding Charlottesville. That base is there, and he's got to turn to it because he's losing independence. His approval rating is the worst that we've ever seen a president at this stage in their administration. And all he's got is that base that got him elected. And unfortunately, that base now has attracted neo-Nazis and the KKK and white supremacists as well. So it's all part of that ugly racial politics mix that has been infused into the normal Republican base that exists that supports Trump. And it's, frankly, I believe it's a prescription for disaster on Tuesday here in Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay, we'll discuss that a little more. Christine, recipe for disaster. Why does the base stick by Donald Trump?
Well, okay, obviously Chris and I disagree on the particulars of this. I think Trump loves to come back to Arizona because Arizona has been loyal to him, and he's a guy who rewards loyalty. He feels comfortable here. He feels like he can actually talk about policy and talk about things that are meaningful without being distracted by things that aren't. I will say that to the point of the base, if the Democrats don't have leadership that gives somebody something else to follow, if they have no ideas and they're just going to put the same old people out there with the same old ideas that have failed over and over and over again, what do you expect people to do? You have to lead if you want somebody to follow. Like it or not, Trump is making an attempt to lead, and that's the only thing that's going to attract people to a message.
Christine, on Tuesday night, Donald Trump is not going to be in the convention center to talk about policy. Because you are you're hoping for that. It isn't going to happen. He's going to be there just like he's going to be there just like he was a year ago at the convention center. He's going to be talking about Mexicans and Joe Arpaio and immigration, and he's going to continue to swirl that pot of racism. He's going to appeal to the worst element of our society right now, and he's the damn president of the United States.
Well, I don't
you
think
could get away with
it
when you were, yeah, he is a damn president. He's the worst we've ever seen. This was predictable. He ran a campaign with dog whistles. Now he's thrown the dog whistles away and he's reaching out to white supremacy. He won't condemn it. It's disgusting. And we're going to see it all in living color again at the convention center on Tuesday night.
Well, okay, again, I disagree. He has condemned it. Did he back off of it, as you said, Bram? Yes, he did. And he needs to come back and say exactly what he means, which is none of that behavior is okay. I agree with you on that. What I don't agree with is the dog whistle piece, because he is not going to throw out anything but red meat. That red meat does not include racism, not in my party, not the party of which I am a member. We are not a racist party. Now, if Donald Trump wants to come out here and pardon Joe Arpaio, and by the way, I predict that he will, that is an entirely different thing than spewing racist commentary.
I hear you. Here's the problem. When David Duke and the neo-Nazis say, when they listen to him, he's got our back, they're hearing something, obviously, that maybe others aren't, but that has to, if a neo-Nazi is approving of something the President of the United States says?
This was the leader of birthism, for Pete's sake.
That's got to be
this guy is his whole history. You can go back.
That's a bad place to be.
You can go back to he and his father in New York City in real estate deals where they were anti-black.
Okay. You put me in an impossible position defending something that's indefensible. Okay, and I won't try to defend it because I am against that behavior. I think anybody who tries to take on that issue and defend it is a reprehensible, horrible human being. So I will not defend that, period. Not this day and not any day. But I also don't think it's helpful for us to sit here and continually criticize and continually put words in his mouth. What I said at the beginning still holds true. If the Democrats aren't providing any alternative and any leadership, and all we can do is throw spears, then we're going to be stuck in this conversation for the next 3 years, and we will get nothing done.
Okay. I want to move on.
He's going to spend a lot of time attacking our U.S. senators.
Okay, let's bring it back to Arpaio, because that's the real Arizona piece. Do you think he will pardon Arpaio? Why?
I do think he'll pardon Arpaio, mostly because he's a guy who rewards loyalty, and Arpaio has been intensely loyal to him. And I think also the consequence of the criminal conviction for contempt of court is that Arpaio is not in office anymore. The loudest message that we could possibly have sent has already been sent. Putting him in jail is not helpful. So I think Trump will pardon him because it's a loyalty thing for him. And it's also, as a practical matter, not helpful to send the guy to jail for 24 hours or 6 months or any amount of time in between. The real question is, will the court, on further consideration, determine what Arpaio did was unconstitutional as the constitutionally elected sheriff? And I think in some way, in his own way, I think Trump gets that. And it's a more meaningful thing to say, let's move on with our lives.
Chris?
He hasn't even been sentenced yet. It's a possibility he'll get no jail time. Frankly, I agree with you on that issue. I don't think it's worth it sending him to jail. Right. But to pardon him sends the message that he is above the law. And to wipe away, in my opinion, a correct criminal contempt conviction by a federal judge is horrible. Arpaio deserved to be found guilty, and he should be fined heavily, and that should take place. Let that play out. But it's obvious that you're right. Trump is going to play to his base, and that's the Arpaio base as well.
Okay, lots more to discuss when we come